I was recently told by someone that if I, am less angry in my YouTube videos, if I'm more friendly and approachable, the content will probably be watched more and my success and my figures will go up. And to that, I say piss off, you little bitch. Ho ho ho, boys and girls. It's that time of year again. The end of the year. Welcome back to another pointless internet series, more specifically the end of year roundup edition of another pointless internet series. This is the third time I've done a New Year special APIS episode, so by laws of convention that makes it a tradition on the channel now. Along with my other tradition, of course, of playing a really shit horror game every Halloween. I fucking hate that tradition. I hope you're having a good Christmas, New Year period. I personally have spent mine as drunk as humanly possible. It's been pretty good, actually. Now, golly, I'll tell you something for free, boys and girls. 2021's been a fucking wild ride, hasn't it? To give it some level of credit, I don't think 2021 has been as bad as 2020, but having said that, 2020 set a very, very fucking low bar. I think it would probably take a major extinction event to outdo how bad 2020 was. Like, that's probably how bad you'd have to get to outdo 2020 at this point. So I don't think 2021 was as bad as 2020, but having said that, it was still a bit rough. It wasn't exactly all peaches and glory, was it? Thanks to COVID and the whole pandemic shit, I have genuinely just lost complete sense of time. I can't remember if shit happened in 2021 or 2020. It's just all molded into one big amalgamation of what the fuck. Do you remember when that boat got stuck in the Suez Canal and everybody was laughing about it on Twitter? That happened in March 2021. Feels like it happened years ago in my mind, but no, that was just a few months ago. That's fucked up. And quite a lot of other stupid shit happened over the course of this year. Bernie Sanders turned up to the inauguration in his funny little mittens. Twitter stopped cropping images. Elon Musk went on Saturday Night Live and broke several human convention rights in the process of doing so. And it's usually at this point in the video that I start going over everything that's happened in the year. I do a sort of recap of all the main events of the year. But I don't really want to do that this year. I want to sort of take a different approach. This year I want to focus on the stuff that mainly caught my attention and speak more about them rather than saying just a tiny little bit about everything that happened. The whole point of this APIS show is for me to just talk about stupid random little stories that I find on the internet or that interest me or that just make me uncontrollably angry. So instead of saying a little bit about everything this year, I'm going to say more about the stories that interested me most, because that is the whole fucking point of this show. And more importantly, it's my show, so I'll do whatever the fuck I want, thank you. But before any of that though...
Greetings and salutations, my brethren. It is I, Tyrone the T-Rex, here to wish you a very Merry Christmas and an epic New Year. I hope your 2021 has been decent, or at least bearable. Remember, while this year may have been a bit shit, it is getting better. We are slowly climbing out of this pandemic-shaped hole, and every day that passes we get closer to normality once again. I hope that my amazing thighs, sexy smile and epically small arms help you keep going. Remember, I'm always with you in spirit, you sexy bitches. Now, as a New Year gift, I would like to give you some knowledge. The most useful and amazing piece of advice I have ever gotten. I would like to share it with you now. Are you ready? Here we go. This is it.
Alright, nobody cares, you can shut up now.
What is up, Dramaalert Nation? I'm your host, Killer Keemstar.
So probably the biggest YouTube news, at least for the latter half of 2021 anyway, was Keemstar's recent announcement that he's finally going to retire from his position as the world's most problematic gnome. He put out a big old video a couple of months ago explaining his decision and explaining why he finally wants to leave the internet. Good God, look at that thumbnail. That thumbnail is an entire career summed up perfectly, isn't it? Basically, the dude's decisions for retiring come down to the fact that YouTube is no longer exciting for him. The scene has shifted completely thanks to factors like cancel culture and shit like that, and it's simultaneously apparently watered down the drama he reports on, but has also made it more targeted and personal. Like, for example, people will now go after your sponsors and shit like that is one thing he mentions.
There was a shift in the culture where cancel culture became like this overpowering thing. And people went after YouTubers' sponsors, like really trying to just ruin them financially. And that caused everyone to stop speaking their mind, right? That caused everyone to be a walking, talking commercial, all right?
We'll brush over the fact that Keemstar has himself gone after people's sponsors and is a massive fucking hypocrite, but you get the point. So basically, the news he talks about in his video. News that he talks about in his videos, it's been watered down and it's more boring, but at the same time it's also way more aggressive and argumentative as well. He also makes a decent point that YouTube has become somewhat more divided in the last few years. Communities on YouTube are no longer entirely connected like they used to be. Different sects of, say, commentary channels, for example, have split off and gone their own little way and only interact with themselves and don't interact with any other commentary channels outside of their own little bubble.
Back in the day, you know, when we talked about the community, felt like we knew everyone. Like it was an actual community. The community doesn't exist anymore. It's like so big and so spread. You know, I think back of stories. What was the name of those guys? These guys, I'll find it in editing. Remember, they got canceled for something everybody talked about. Everybody. Now a story will happen and only that group of fans or care about that story. You know, we're not knit together like we used to be. And part of the problem is we don't have a flourishing commentary community, right?
And to be fair, this is kind of to be expected as YouTube gets bigger and more corporate, at least on the surface level. Eventually this was bound to happen as communities inevitably got bigger with the site. But I can still kind of understand why that would tick him off and make things a bit more boring for him, especially as someone whose entire channel is focused on reporting on drama. If all the gossipers aren't connected anymore, it makes your job way harder and way more boring because you've got to sift through way more bullshit. And honestly, this is as weird for me to say as it is for you to probably hear it, but I actually agree with a lot of what Keemstar says in this video. All it took, Keem, was for you to fucking retire, and I finally agree with you. But no, I do agree, in all seriousness, with what Keemstar says in this video. I think he makes some very good points. Even if he's a bit of a hypocrite and has done some of the things he calls others out for in this video, he's right. I agree with what he says. And yet, simultaneously, I don't give a single shit. And a lot of the comments I've seen on this video seem to echo my opinions. A lot of people seem either completely indifferent or very pleased at Keemstar's decision to retire from Drama Alert. Which makes it all the more funny to me that Keemstar takes this shit so seriously throughout this retirement video, and yet everyone in the comments, most of the people in the comments, don't seem to give a single fuck. Okay, Keem, we get it. You're a famous internet celebrity that reports on gossip, but you're not some worldwide renowned star that's loved and revered by all unanimously, right? You report on gossip and drama from the internet. Tone it the fuck down a little, yeah? Oh, the narcissism is setting in big time, isn't it? I also find it a little funny that the reasons Keem has given for retiring from Drama Alert, the reasons essentially boil down to, I've gotten bored. I mean, fair enough, that's a good reason, don't get me wrong, but on the other hand, surely your age would play a factor in this as well? No? Yeah, the dude's 39, the dude's pushing 40, and he's still reporting on, like, teenagers and the drama that's going on TikTok at 39. Surely the fact that you're pushing 40 would be another reason that you're retiring from the internet. You are literally middle-aged and you're still reporting on teenagers beefing on TikTok. Surely that would play even a little bit into your decision for retiring? No. Alright then, you just keep waving that fucking midlife crisis flag, Keemstar. So, the all-important question, who's going to replace the almighty rat on Drama Alert? Well, so far anyway, it still seems to be a little bit up in the air. I'm not really sure. I don't think anyone's really sure who's going to permanently replace Keemstar yet. Despite announcing his retirement, Keem still seems to be hosting the show semi-regularly, like he hasn't completely left yet. He's still getting ready to leave. However, with that said, a couple of new faces have appeared as Drama Alert hosts, including Willie Mac and Tide Blue, both of which did pretty decent jobs, to be fair, considering it's Drama Alert and that's all the fucking content you have to work with. So it could be that Drama Alert kind of does a Fred sort of meme and becomes a community channel where several different people host different episodes of Drama Alert and they all share the responsibility of hosting the show. Or these interchangeable hosts are just temporary and they're just there for the transitionary period while Keem looks for a new permanent host to take the place of him. Now, personally, I think a new permanent host would be a better decision than several interchangeable hosts, and I think it would have to be a very well-chosen permanent host as well. Whatever you think of Keemstar, whether you love him or whether you hate him, the dude made Drama Alert. You could argue that it wouldn't be Drama Alert without Keemstar, so his replacement has got to be very well chosen. If it isn't a well chosen host, the channel won't survive. It'll crash and burn. It's as simple as that. I've already seen some arguments that the show is inevitably going to crash and burn as soon as Keemstar leaves. Doesn't matter how well the new host is or how well chosen they are, it won't be the same without Keemstar. It'll immediately flop. But then again, at the same time, I don't think I'd give a single shit if Drama Alert crashed and burned, to be honest. I think it's awful. If Drama Alert completely crashed and burned as soon as Keemstar retired and left the show, I wouldn't lose a wink of sleep. It's not exactly stellar content, is it? And as for Keem, though he is retiring from Drama Alert, I doubt very, very much that he's going to be leaving the internet completely. Let's be realistic here. The dude loves himself and his opinions way too much for that shit. I don't think he could physically stop himself from impulse tweeting bullshit, even if he wanted to, even if he tried to. I don't think he's physically capable of stopping himself. So though he's leaving Drama Alert, this probably isn't the end of Keemstar. He'll probably still be about, maybe on Twitter and Twitch more actively, but just not on YouTube anymore. I think the most ironic thing about all of this is I've never really liked Drama Alert. I've stayed as clear away from it as humanly possible. I've only ever watched the show when something big has turned up, like, for example, the time when he interviewed Leafy, when Leafy was still missing from the internet. He did an interview with Leafy, I watched that. But other than that, other than big major events, I wouldn't go near Drama Alert. I'm not subscribed, I despise it, I think it's an awful show. But now that Keemstar is retiring, I'm way more interested. Suddenly my attention has been hooked on Drama Alert. I have never, ever been this interested in the show. And all it took was for Keemstar to fuck off. It is quite interesting to see where the show will go from here. Will it crash and burn? Will it actually get better and more watchable with a new host? Who knows? Only time can tell. But either way, rest in peace, Gnomestar. I don't know if rats go to heaven at all, but if they do, you certainly don't deserve to get through those pearly gates, my friend. I'm grateful to you for the baited podcast, but genuinely, that's about it. So, yeah. See you around, bitch.
What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you?
Now, this next story isn't going to be as goofy or as memey as the other stuff that's going to be in this video. This topic's going to be a little bit more serious. And that's why I didn't immediately open with this topic. I did originally want to start the video by talking about this, but I realised if I did that, it would completely fuck the entire mood and tone of the video over. So it's coming in second place instead, because it's still important, but at the same time, I don't want to start with something that's a little bit doom and gloom, I suppose. So anyway, on we press. On the 14th of December, 2021, a couple of weeks ago from recording this video, many of the late Stan Lee's social media accounts put up this post. From championing diversity to embracing new tech, Stan was one step ahead of the curve. To honour his innovative spirit, Stan's first Indian hero, Chakra the Invincible, debuts his own NFT digital art collection from 7:30 PT on the 27th of December. Now this went up on his Twitter and his Facebook. That's where I saw them anyway. I'm pretty sure it went up on his Instagram as well. I can't see why it wouldn't. And I think regardless of your stance on NFTs, and I assure you I think they're so fucking stupid, but regardless of what you think of NFTs, I think we can all agree that this is fucking despicable. You have used the social media pages of a universally beloved figure who has died to promote a glorified online auction. That's all it is. Fuck all this innovative spirit shit, alright? It's just a glorified online bidding contest. It's just for money. That's all this fucking is. So don't try and paint this as honouring Stan Lee's memory or any shit like that. This is just fucking stupid and insulting, frankly. And what's even more insulting about this is that this fucking digital art collection, auction, whatever the fuck, it went live on the 27th of December at 7:30 PM. That's 4.5 hours before Stan Lee's birthday. So basically, they put this shit live on Stan Lee's birthday. They're selling a shitty fucking NFT just for money on Stan Lee's birthday. And they're using Stan Lee and his memory and his social media accounts to promote the fucking NFT. You might as well dig up his corpse, put it on puppet springs, and have him prance around the stage saying, hey guys, buy my fucking NFT. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Whoever posted this, whoever approved of this idea, whoever thought this idea was remotely a good one or a respectable one, in fact, anyone that was remotely involved with this, anyone that looked at this and thought, yeah, this is a good idea, let's do this, go fuck yourselves. This is some of the lowest and greediest behaviour I've seen in a very, very long time, and you should genuinely be ashamed of yourselves. I really don't have anything else to say about this. I mean, what else is there to say? I despise this with every fibre of my being, and I think it's an awful and terrible and scummy thing to do, but what else can I say other than that, really? I'm just disappointed more than anything else at this point, I think. It's just fucking awful. In short, fuck these people and fuck this NFT thing, and do not ever be complacent about shit like this. I suppose that's my final message. Don't be complacent about this. Don't be complacent about anything remotely like this, because once people start getting complacent about shit, that's how shit becomes normal. I don't think I want to be in a world where using the memory of a universally beloved figure to promote a shitty gambling auction. I don't want to be in a world where that's considered normal or acceptable, really. I don't know, I'm probably fucking rambling now at this point. Let's just move on. In short, fuck this shit.
It's a me, a Mario. That's not the voice. You'll have to wait to hear the voice.
So something that took Twitter and many other depraved parts of the internet by storm in the last few months is Chris Pratt, or more specifically, Chris Pratt's voice. On the 25th of December, it was announced to the world that Chris Pratt would be voicing Mario in an upcoming Mario movie. Now, just take a few moments to appreciate Chris Pratt's voice, and now take a few moments to appreciate Mario's voice. And maybe you can understand why everybody unanimously went, what the fuck? Basically, things do not bode well. And so naturally, Twitter went a bit mental about this, especially after the further announcement that Chris Pratt would not be doing a Mario voice in the Mario movie. He'd be doing his own voice, or another different kind of voice when voicing Mario. Now this has left me quite divided, because on one hand I'm very, very pleased that Chris Pratt is not going to attempt a Mario voice, but on the other hand, what other voice could you do? I can't think of a better alternative to just the normal Mario voice. I also can't help but feeling a bit shit for the guy that actually voices Mario, like in the Nintendo games, because that dude's been doing it for decades as far as I'm aware. Surely you'd want this guy on board, even if it's just to advise Chris Pratt what to say and how to say it. Admittedly, Mario doesn't really say much. Like, all he ever really says is, let's-a go, yahoo, and oh no. Like, that's basically his entire lexicon. We don't have many awe-inspiring quotes from Mario. But on the other hand, if you're going to make a movie about a character who basically says fuck all except for general phrases, surely if you possessed any brain cells, you'd get the fucking voice actor on board to help with the process. Anyway, I digress. Chris Pratt and this black and white picture of him that started surfacing around the internet with his announcement that he'll be voicing Mario, they've been memed into fucking oblivion over the last few months, and honestly, it's been glorious. Some of them have been really, really funny. But then, as if by some cruel, twisted perversion of nature, it was later on announced on November the 1st that Chris Pratt would also be voicing Garfield in an upcoming Garfield movie. What in the name of sanity is actually happening? You do realise other actors other than Chris Pratt exist, right? The internet's vigour was of course only strengthened by this second piece of cursed news, and the memes only flowed more greater and more prosperously. And I really can't fault anyone for the memes, honestly. You see, Chris Pratt isn't necessarily a bad actor. I don't think he is a bad actor, but these roles that he's been cast in, Mario and Garfield, they don't really suit him. The roles that generally suit Chris Pratt are carefree, devil-may-care, joke-quipping, goofy, reluctant anti-hero. That's basically what Chris Pratt does. Now, Mario and Garfield, I would argue, do not remotely fit into that kind of category of character. Which means that Chris Pratt is already basically starting on a bad foot here. He's already fucked, and he hasn't even started yet. This is like turning up to a horse race with a horse that spent its entire life doing anything but running. Now maybe if you were very committed, you could argue that Mario is a reluctant hero because he's always got to go off and save Princess Peach, who is perpetually being kidnapped. I'm pretty sure at this point, Princess Peach is just into some really weird shit and actually doesn't mind being kidnapped at all. So maybe if you were really, really fucking invested in this, you could argue that Mario's a reluctant hero, and so maybe Chris Pratt will give it a good stab, but there's no defense for the Garfield shit. I mean, if anything, surely Chris Pratt would voice a better Odie the dog. Now, of course, I could be proved wrong here. These movies could actually turn out, against all odds, to be very, very good, much like the Sonic movie. However, I'm not going to be optimistic. I'm going to be very cautious about this, because what you have to remember is, for every Sonic movie, there are at least 10 emoji movies. So in short, best of luck, Chris. I hope you do a good job. I hope you don't fuck it up for your sake as well as ours. And if you do fuck it up, well, insert Mamma Mia joke here. So here's another bit of news that will make you feel incredibly old. Microsoft has recently announced that they will be closing down Internet Explorer in June 2022. Much in the same way that Adobe Flash Player was shut down in December of 2020. Now I think there's one key difference about Internet Explorer being shut down and Flash Player getting shut down. And that difference is that I actually cared about Flash Player being shut down. Nobody's really cared about Internet Explorer for at least a decade now, as far as I'm aware. It's a pretty bad search engine. It's probably one of the most poorly aged things on the internet. Now, don't get me wrong, Internet Explorer deserves to be remembered because it was an important part of internet history. It was basically the first search engine that a lot of us used in the early 2000s as computers started getting more popular and more available to the public. But that's my point, really. Internet Explorer never really progressed past just being the first search engine that most of us used. Like, that's all it's really known for. It hasn't really done anything else other than be the first and inspire much better search engines to come and take its place. It's been outcompeted into oblivion. In fact, it was outcompeted into oblivion years and years and years ago. So honestly, I'm more surprised that it hasn't already been shut down. It looks like a website from 10 years ago for all the wrong reasons. So no, sorry, I don't think I'll particularly care that Internet Explorer is being shut down. I don't think I'll particularly miss the website either. I don't think a majority of people will either. In fact, I reckon I can prove that nobody cares about Internet Explorer being shut down because Microsoft announced this 7 months ago. In May, and I only heard about it a couple of weeks ago. And the only reason I did hear about it is because I was actively looking for topics to discuss in this end of year APIS special. If people remotely cared about Internet Explorer being shut down, then surely it would have at least appeared in a few tweets or a couple of short commentary videos by now. But no, genuinely it hasn't. I haven't seen any tweets, any videos, anything discussing this. And you can take it from me because I watch a hell of a lot of YouTube in order to make content for this channel. I didn't see a single fucking thing about Internet Explorer being shut down. So there you go. You can mark June 2022 down on your brand new calendars as probably the internet's most useless milestone and passing. Shut the fuck up! So perhaps the most twisted thing to come out of 2021 was when someone a few months ago broke into an ancient demonic temple and took an ancient spell tome from said temple and used the hideous black necromantic magic within that book to revive the crazy frog. That's right, everyone, a meme that hasn't had any appeal since probably about 2007 is back on the internet. And not only that, but this time around, Crazy Frog's got a penis, and a microscopic one at that. I mean, why? Why would you do that? That is just so... That's just so unnecessary. Anyway, to cut a very long and boring story short, because I didn't give a shit about Crazy Frog even 20 years ago, it appears that Crazy Frog has only been revived to sell NFTs. Yes, this is the second time I'm bringing NFTs up in this video, I know, but they're fucking taking the internet by storm at the moment. Every single brand and figure and dead meme seems to be coming back solely to sell NFTs, and it's just depressing, honestly. What a surprise. Another dying internet meme is selling out for money. This entire thing strikes me as a very corporate decision. Like, this is very likely just a load of very out-of-touch businessmen sat in a room with the rights to a very, very dead meme, just trying to sell it out and get what little money they can from it before it completely and inevitably dies. Anyway, I just wanted to touch on this briefly because it's a bit pointless and a bit pathetic, and I like pointing and laughing at it, but other than that, I don't really care, to be honest. The only crazy thing about you, Mr. Frog, is that you're still a fucking thing. Heck off back to the dead meme graveyard where you belong, if you please.
This is surely on track to be a great live Q&A.
And so, finally, to see this video out, we're going to do a quick Q&A segment, because why not? Admittedly, I try not to do Q&A segments very often, because I do believe Q&A videos are very, very lazy forms of content. However, they can be quite interesting, and I haven't done one since, I think, March 2020, so it's been a reasonable amount of time since I last did one. So we might as well do another one now, update the old questions list, and get those burning questions off your chest. Hey, boys and girls? Right, what have we got? What have we got? Do you like toes? Oh, for fuck's sake. I already regret doing this. I've literally just started the segment, and I already regret doing it. This question, by the way, comes from my very good friend Liam, who's been in a few of my YouTube videos before. Most recently, the How Powerful is a YouTube Apology video, which you should definitely check out. And the only reason I'm including this question is because it comes from a good friend of mine. If anyone else had asked this, I would have completely ignored it. No, I don't like toes. We've been over this a million times, Liam. What's your obsession with toes? I find it increasingly harder and harder to believe that this is just a meme to you. Why do you keep asking me about toes? How do you deal with burnout if you get it? Also, cock length and girth. I knew someone would ask about my cock. It's fucking inevitable. To answer the first bit of the question first, I deal with burnout on YouTube very simply. I just go and do another hobby. I've said this before in videos several times. I'll say it again now. I treat YouTube as a hobby. The primary reason I do it is for my own entertainment. And so when I get bored of one hobby or when I get a bit burnt out of it, I just focus on another one for a little while until I'm no longer sick of it. And in my opinion, I think that's a healthy thing. I think everyone should have a few very different hobbies that they can switch between. I would say you should at least have 3 and comfortably around 5. So when I get sick of YouTube, I just move on and do something else for a little while. So other hobbies I have include music. I know I put my music on YouTube, but it's a different creative process, so I treat it as a different hobby. So I've got music. I like Doctor Who quite a lot, in case you can't already tell. I collect fossils as well. You can probably see them up on that top shelf there. I collect fossils, and I also read quite a lot. I've got quite a sexy bookshelf, if I do say so myself, and I like slowly, you know, adding to that bookshelf and getting through the books that are on it. As for my cock size, it's fucking huge. That's about all you need to know. Regarding non-law based questions, what made you decide to include law along with your videos? Also, I'm sad to ask this of you, but will you ever be reading Onision's newest crime against humanity? Very good question for a start. Basically, the reason I decided to start doing law is because I've always enjoyed doing like skits and sketches. In fact, I started my YouTube channel originally with the purpose of it being like a sketch channel. I'd just record and make like 2-3 minute skits, and that would be the content. But I've always enjoyed making sketches. And I thought to myself one day, well, fuck it, why don't I just include some skits and some sketches in my commentary videos? It'll just make the process a bit more fun for me. And then from there, it just sort of made sense that I could do sketches that kind of led on from one another, you know, a continuous story. And so that's basically where the idea of law came from. But I've also been inspired by other creators, particularly Filthy Frank. The idea of a long, continuous story that arcs over several videos has always been quite appealing to me. So, yeah. I suppose that. As for Onision's newest book, I assume that's what you're referring to, I have heard about this before, but the last I heard about it, this book was only on his Patreon. And I'm not going to pay any money for this book. I said this in my Onision's Crimes Against Literature video, but I'm not going to pay any money for Onision's books. Number one, because Onision's a terrible person, and I don't want any money of mine going his way. But also, number two, because they're terrible, terrible books. And even if someone nicer than Onision had written these books, they're still shit and they're not worth my money. So unless I can find a free PDF of this book, and unless I'm incredibly, incredibly fucking bored, no, I probably won't be reading his newest book. What kind of videos are you planning on doing in the future? Well, I've got 2 big videos planned at the moment. One of them is Onision's Crimes Against Humanity, which will be the 3rd and final part of my Onision's Crimes Against trilogy. So that will be coming out in April 2022. Anyone that's been particularly observant will know that I uploaded the first Onision video on April the 13th, 2020, and then the second one on April the 13th, 2021. So the 3rd part will be coming out, as per tradition, on April the 13th, 2022. And then hopefully, once that video's finished, I can put this Onision chapter of my channel to bed. But other videos I have planned, I want to do a video on Grade A, Under A, probably just a shorter video. I'm quite interested in that. And I also have a video planned on fake socialism, because I've noticed in the last couple of years, it's become very trendy to pretend to be a socialist, even if you're actually not. So I'm hoping to have that one out maybe January, February 2022. It honestly depends. It's quite a meaty subject, so we'll see. But in short, they're the big ones that I hopefully have coming your way in the, you know, in the short-term future, shall we say. What colour are your socks? Liam, is this another attempt to get toe pictures from me? It's not going to work. Stop using alt accounts. My socks are kind of black with a sort of green pattern on them, but I'm not going to show you them because some freak will take them and screenshot them, because there's weirdos like that out on the internet. Basically, feet pictures are a currency of their own on the internet, and I don't fancy getting involved in that fucking currency at all, even if it's accidentally. So you'll just have to take my word for it, they're black and green. Do you see another gameplay video happening sometime, horror or otherwise? Well, as I said, I have the tradition on my channel of playing a really bad horror game every Halloween, so I'll continue to do that, obviously. But other than that, I don't really have any gameplay videos planned. If I get a good idea for one, I'll probably do it, but off the top of my head, I don't have anything concrete planned. One thing I would like to do in the future is start streaming again. For those of you that have been around a while, I used to stream semi-regularly on my channel back when I was in university and had decent internet. But at the moment, stuck in Dimension 1, my internet is really, really shit. It's way too slow for streaming. Like, not even close to being decent for streaming. So in the future I would like to start streaming again, but genuinely I don't know when my internet will improve. So you'll just have to wait and see. But at some point in the future, I will start streaming again, and some of those streams will more than likely be gameplay, so that's probably your best bet for now. When did Tyrone came into your existence? Well, first off, that's a really poorly worded sentence. Maybe pick up a book once in a while. In terms of the lore answer to that question, I can't answer that, because I do have a backstory for Tyrone planned, and you will see that at some point in the future, but I'm not going to give anything away about it for now. That's a secret for me, and you will hear about it when it's ready to be shown on the fucking YouTube channel. But as for how Tyrone actually literally came into my existence, it's actually a pretty boring story. Basically, in, I think it was 2017, I was in a museum with my family, and we were going through the gift shop, and sure enough, Tyrone was there on one of the top shelves. And I pointed and laughed at Tyrone because he was up there on the top shelf, and he looked fucking stupid. And my mother caught sight of me laughing at Tyrone, and discreetly bought him. And then 6 months later for Christmas, I opened a very big parcel, and sure enough, the dinosaur was there. And it honestly kind of surprised me, because I'd completely forgotten about the dinosaur and everything, and then suddenly it was there. So genuinely, Tyrone was just a gag gift. And then he slowly started appearing in the backgrounds of videos, and people started commenting on him, and so I started deliberately putting him there. And from there it just kind of progressed. I gave him a voice of his own, he started having segments in my videos, and people seemed to enjoy it. I'm told that some people only tune into my videos to see Tyrone, so, you know, it's working at least. But yeah, that's how he came into my life, basically. I could put these in one comment, but nah, gotta boost the algorithm, lol. God bless you. Regarding lore-based questions, will we ever get Tyrone's backstory? I just answered that. Come on, fucking keep up. How did Moocake and Tyrone meet up to begin with? Blah, 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 blah. Will you ever get around to curb stomping the king of clickbait? You'll just have to wait and see. I have a good 2 years worth of lore stuff planned. It will probably take about 2 years for everything I've got planned to be completed and put out on YouTube. So you'll just have to wait and see, but I've got some interesting stuff planned for the Clickbait Confederacy. You'll just have to stick around and find out for yourself, I'm afraid. I'm not giving any kind of hints or spoilers because I've been planning this for a very, very long time. It's basically my brainchild, and I don't want to fuck it up, basically. So yes, I do have some brilliant ideas for the Clickbait Confederacy. I think they're brilliant anyway. But you're not getting any spoilers, you'll just have to wait and see. I don't know if this has been answered before, but where did the name Moocake come from? And why do you think you aren't as successful as other channels that aren't making videos on dramas and are ranting? Personally, I find you more entertaining, and I think you put in a lot more effort than most of the channels, and I seriously don't have an idea why you have such a few subs and low views. Stop wanking me off. Seriously though, thank you, that's very flattering. Where did the name Moocake come from? Actually, it's funny you mentioned that. Liam, who asked me a question about toes earlier in this video, is basically the main reason I got the name Moocake. I met Liam when I was about 11 or 12 in school, when I first started secondary school. And back then, when I was 11, 12, me and Liam were very random XD sort of funny. And we just invented the word Moocake as kind of a joke. We'd run up to people and we'd shout it in people's faces, and people would get very confused, and we found that hilarious because we were 12 years old and fucking dumb. But basically, in short, Liam was also the main reason I got into YouTube. Liam made a channel back when he was about 11 or 12 and pestered me to do the same, and so I made a channel when I was around 11 or 12 as well. And that channel is now gone, but basically he inspired me to start YouTube in the first place, and he basically started the spark. Like, I wouldn't have started YouTube and figured out that I enjoy doing YouTube if it weren't for Liam. So when I started my current channel, I called it Moocake as kind of a bit of a homage to him, because to be fair, I wouldn't be where I am if it weren't for him pestering me in the school library at 12 years old to make a YouTube channel so we can collaborate on shit. So that's where the name comes from. As for why I'm not as popular, I think there's two reasons for that. Number one, it's because I'm not particularly PG as a channel. I swear a lot. I mention things like drinking and smoking in my videos quite frequently, and I have a lot of, shall we say, unsavoury opinions that aren't particularly marketable. So I don't think my channel's been pushed as much as other channels simply because I'm not very family-friendly, PG clean. But I think the other reason is simply because blowing up on YouTube and the internet, it takes a bit of luck. Like, it doesn't matter how good or bad you are at making YouTube content, a lot of success on YouTube just comes down to pure blind luck. So one day the algorithm just pushes a video and a lot of people see it, and it's just luck, basically. So I don't think I've had my lucky break yet, that's all, and maybe I'll never get one. But honestly, I don't really mind, because as I've said, I do this for my own entertainment. I'm very flattered that other people enjoy my content, and I'm very flattered to get a bit of money from making YouTube content, but I didn't get any money or attention from making YouTube videos for years and years and years, and I still did it anyway. It's just a hobby to me. So I don't really mind if I ever blow up or not, but if I do blow up, I'm obviously not going to say no to it, because, you know, why would I say no to getting attention and money for doing something I already enjoy, you know? Anyway, that's about all the good questions I got. I say good in massive quotation marks because some of them weren't. Shall we say interesting questions instead? Admittedly, I didn't get many questions because I'm still quite a small YouTube channel, but the remaining questions I didn't include in this video were basically just stuff like, are you gay? And, you know, I don't really have much to work with there, so I'm not even going to bother answering those questions, I'm afraid. But with that all said and done, I think that wraps us up and brings us to the end of the video quite comfortably, don't you think? So I hope you enjoyed this shit show. Leave a like if you did, leave a dislike if you didn't. Not that it really matters, because the dislike button has been nuked into oblivion. But either way, thanks very much for watching. Thanks for sticking through to the end if you have. I very much appreciate it. It does help out a lot. I hope your 2021 has been a bit better than 2020, at least. I know that things are still a bit shit, but look, things are slowly getting a bit better, I think. The COVID pandemic's slowly beginning to be brought under control. I know it's still pretty bad, but it's not as bad as it was this time last year. So take that as a positive, I suppose. What's that? Moocake being positive in a video. I didn't subscribe to that shit. Go back to being a grumpy old man, please. And with that all said and done, I'm now going to go back to drinking obnoxiously, because it's still the Christmas week. It's still not quite New Year at the time of recording, which means I can still drink as much as I want all week without feeling guilty about it, because that's the whole point of the Christmas week. You just drink and eat way too much and completely lose track of time and the universe and every social engagement you've ever had in your life. I've got some interesting videos planned for 2022. I've mentioned a few of them earlier in the video in the Q&A segment, and I'm really excited to share them with you. So until then, thanks for watching, take it steady, and Happy New Year. You can fuck off now.